On the list of stories that happened in 2024 that didn't get nearly enough attention or were buried or even covered up, I would say that this might be the biggest one. Not biggest as in the most controversial or the most impactful, but biggest in that I didn't expect it. I would not have had this on my bingo card that they would be able to cover up such a big story as this one, which happened back in September. September 18th, 2024, from the Gateway Pundit. 20 supporters seated behind Trump on stage rushed to ER with blurred vision and eye burns after rally in Tucson, Arizona. Now, this to me, this is like, holy cow, this is an assassination attempt, or at least some sort of attack against President Trump, because these are the people that were standing behind him. Okay? Which at the time I was thinking, oh, I wonder if it was like maybe like a laser pointer. Now we're starting to think maybe, just maybe, it was a direct energy weapon of some sort, similar to what happens with Havana syndrome. Of course, there was a whistleblower this week that came out, talked to Catherine Herridge about how they experienced strange physical ailments as a result of these direct energy weapons. These are invisible. You can't see them. You can't hear them. You have no idea sometimes. Sometimes you can hear them, but not all the time. Is it possible that there was a direct energy weapon directed at President Trump or in his direction, and that there were people, 20 of them, who ended up with blurred vision, had to go to the ER. Some of them were blinded for almost a day. Many of them got sick. And people say, well, what about Trump? Why didn't he get sick? Here's the thing, and I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything. I just want to throw this out there. What if he did? What if he was affected by it? But as a result, they just kind of, cleared his schedule maybe the next day, maybe just had it to where, he's going to be taking a family day. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what went on the day after, but maybe he did get affected. Maybe he did get sick, and they didn't want to mention it because they didn't want any questions about his health. According to the article, Arizona Globe journalist Christy Kelly has reported a troubling development following former President Donald Trump's rally in Tucson, Arizona last Thursday. And again, don't forget, this is in September. Kelly noted that as many as 20 people were affected by these symptoms, all of whom were seated on the left side of the stage. Many supporters seated behind Trump on stage went to the ER after the rally with blurred vision and burning to the eyes. I spoke to several who still have not fully recovered. As many as 20 were affected. The cause of the symptoms remains unknown, and an active investigation is underway. Now, of course, that was the last we heard from it. As much, and we had this as a top story, a headline over at thelibertydaily.com. It was one of the biggest stories of the year because, of course, the audience at thelibertydaily.com is awesome, and they recognize when something is important. But apparently, legacy media, and unfortunately, even the vast majority in conservative media, didn't latch onto this story. There was only a handful that took this, ran with it. This to me was huge news, huge. The president. At the time, the presidential candidate was very likely attacked. People were harmed. People went to the emergency room. Why? Because they were standing behind him. That tells us that it seems very likely, the most prevailing and logical theory here is that somebody had some sort of weapon, perhaps a direct energy weapon, pointed at Trump. They were trying to harm him. And whether he got harmed or not, we don't know for sure. We know that 20 people behind him did. Now, how did that story get buried?